Hello, my name is Victor Puente, and this is my informative video presentation on the secrets of the Spanish subjunctive. Spanish has up to 18 verb tenses, which for new speakers learning the language is quite difficult to wrap their heads around, especially the dreaded Spanish subjunctive. Why did I choose this topic? Well, it's because I'm a language geek. I love language. It's something of a hobby of mine to study language and to go into the grammar of how things work. And I feel confident in my knowledge that I can not only teach you, but I've also taught my peers how to use the subjunctive. Now, what is the subjunctive? Well, according to John W. Powell in his article, the subjunctive is a grammatical mood. Now, a grammatical mood is not a tense, it's something different. A grammatical mood is a collection of tenses that share a similarity. Spanish has 3 subjunctive tenses, but I'm only going to focus on one, the present tense. And I'm going to compare it to our normal present tense, our indicative tense, the one that everyone learns when they start in Spanish class. I pulled these conjugations straight from an article by Luis F. Dominguez. We are going to be conjugating the word comer, which means to eat. In the indicative, you would conjugate it as yo como, tú comes, él come, nosotros comemos, vosotros coméis, ellos comen. But in the subjunctive, you would say yo coma, tú comas, él coma, nosotros comamos, vosotros comáis, and ellos coman. There's a few similarities and a few differences. So what's going on here? What did I do differently? Well, a website called Linguist has a well-written guide on how to actually create the subjunctive form of a verb. First, we're going to take the present yo form. Seems very specific, but it's very important because certain verbs have an irregular yo form, meaning that the yo form is very different looking, very different sounding compared to the other forms. So let's take our word traer, which means to bring. In our yo form, it becomes traigo. And we are going to replace that O with the appropriate subjunctive ending. Since traer is a ER verb, we are going to use the endings on the far right column on the graph. A, as, a, amos, ais, an. So putting it all together, we go from traer, which means to bring, to traigo, which means I bring, and we use that form and modify it to become traiga, for example. He brings, but in the subjunctive. A way we would use this in a sentence would be to say, yo espero que él traiga su propia comida. I hope that he brings his own food. Some people who are new to Spanish would incorrectly translate this sentence as yo espero que él trae su propia comida. But that's grammatically incorrect. But why? Well, according to a blog by Irati de Nicolas Saiz, there's a few criteria that calls for the use of subjunctive. One thing to take note of is that it's mainly in dependent clauses. So it always needs another verb, another independent clause to appear. Another thing is that the subject of the independent clause and the subject of the dependent clause must be different in order to use the subjunctive. So no, I want me to do something. It's more, I want you to do something. You want him to do something. He wants them to do something. The subjects must be different. Now, if the verb in the independent clause conveys desire, necessity, influence, or uncertainty, you'd use the subjunctive. If the independent clause expresses an emotion or a judgment, you would use the subjunctive clause. Also, statements that make use of the word ojalá also use a subjunctive. A great example of the use of the word ojalá is Juan Luis Guerra's song Ojalá que llueva café. Oh, I apologize. Now, what's going on here? Well, Ojalá que llueva café. The song's title and opening line uses a subjunctive form of the verb llover, to rain. So the song's title translates to I wish it rains coffee, or I hope it rains coffee. There we go, we have that, not only that use of the word ojalá, but also the fact that these sentences are talking about someone's wish, someone's hope, desire. Practice makes perfect. You're not going to be perfect at the first go around. Everything takes time. And even native speakers sometimes mix up the words like we all do with our languages. So it's good to be easy on yourself and not to be too hard on yourself when you learn this. Take it slow and everything will be all right. Thank you.